Thank you so much, Ángeles. Let's continue. So as you know, the companies and all the organisms have been facing a series of challenges over the past months, and especially issues related to digitalization. Now, this relates both to the very own culture of the company and the employees, and also on a technological level, as we all know, of cybersecurity. And in this sense, companies need to rely now more than ever on those experts and people that are qualified in these fields, and that are qualified in really any type of technological and cybersecurity aspects. And this is why this slow growth and incorporation of women in this field offers a double chance. So on one hand, meeting the demand of jobs, of vacancies, but also adding values and adding competences in this sector. And of course also in technology in general, which is what we're going to be talking about in this round table. So we're going to be analyzing this situation that we have currently, and also the initiatives that are being carried out and are going to be carried out. So we're going to get to meet some great references, some very important people in this sector. So I'm not gonna go over this too much, but we have Eduvigis Ortiz. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here, like always. It's great to have you. We also have Lorena. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. And we also have Marta, Pérez, Dorao. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. How are you all? Very well. And we have Idoia, Mateo. Good afternoon. So it's a shame that I can't be here physically, but I'm going to be here virtually instead. Yes, that's right. It's a shame that you can't be here in person, but nevertheless, we're very thankful that you can be here virtually. So if you like, how would you like to just briefly introduce yourself? Eduvigis, would you like to start off? So what is your perception of this current situation that we're in? So thank you so much, Mónica. So the truth is that, as you know, I love technology, and I'm also very passionate about promoting vocation, not just female talent, but also generally speaking. Because it's true that in Spain we have a huge deficit of professionals that specialize or that work in the digital field, and the world is becoming more and more digital. And especially now with this pandemic, which has forced all companies and all people to rapidly adapt themselves to changing the way we communicate, creating this context of communication. This is what we were talking about before. And I'm personally very thankful for working in the world of technology, which is actually what shapes the world. And I also consider myself very lucky because now I'm working in data analytics, which is absolutely key in taking decisions that will lead us to the sustainability and cybersecurity of the companies, because the world is becoming more and more digital. So that's why we need that confidence. We need confidence to knowing that our data and our transactions are really safe and secure, and that we're not going to have any cyber criminals stealing our information and our money as well. So that's why it's always such a pleasure to be here sharing this roundtable with huge experts in the sector, and to be talking about this issue, because the talent is out there and we just have to go out and look for it. So thank you so much for that. And now Lorena. So as our colleague already said, I think that if something positive that came out of coronavirus is that digitalization accelerated by 300%. So we are now more and more in a digital world. We are all connected at all times. We are constantly connected. Our iPhones, our devices are constantly connected to the cloud. At our work, we are constantly working through digital or technologies that allow us to see each other face to face, as we're seeing now. But as we've also seen a sharp increase in is that side of cybersecurity. So now more than ever, it's more important to have encryptions, adequate security. So what this has given rise to is the need to work in cybersecurity. So we all need to start working in this regard. And I work in this industry. And what we see sometimes is that certain jobs are more centered around connected to the outside, but now we require people specializing in connecting to the outside, so digitally speaking. So obviously we have a huge deficit in women, so we need to empower the women in this sense. So we need more women working, and we need to work together. So we need the state, the companies, to focus more on improving our digitalization. So there's something that I like repeating. So the bad guys always make their way in, but if I give you a lot of different doors, then I might stumble at the first door. If I only put one door, I might fall at the first door. But if you have a lot of different doors, then you might make it further. So that's one of the main challenges that we're facing. So Marta, now it's your turn. How are you all? It's great to be here with you, although I can't be there physically. So I am the director of FECE and the president of Foundation Inspiring Girls. So from our federation, we're focusing a lot on digitalization because you said with the pandemic, we are now more aware than ever of the need to be multi-channeled, to be able to help consumers from any part of the world. So before we had systems that were more closed, now need to be opened up to the outside and to be digitalized. So, and with Inspiring Girls, with our foundation, this is related to what you were saying before, that we have, there's a lack of women working in technologies. Actually, if you could put up my first slide of my presentation, it's a little graph where you can see the difference between men and women in different degrees and fields of expertise. So we can see a huge difference here. So what we aim in Inspiring Girls, we try to get girls to consider themselves, to break these stereotypes and find a job in something where women do not have a big representance in. So for me, most of my life, I've been the only women in most of the meetings and congresses. So that is why, especially I see the need that women in these fields in technology and cybersecurity to step up. So I think that us women have a moral obligation to make ourselves more visible and set an example for all the other girls. Because if they don't see examples, they're not going to be wanting to live up to it. So we're seeing a lot of different jobs where they have more men than women in technology. And one of the biggest obstacles is the lack of references and examples and role models. So we need to see women who are performing these jobs, and they're just normal girls, just like them, like maybe some of their family members, but then working in technology. So here on the next slide, we can see our goals. So our goal is to have girls to overcome that lack in their own confidence and to see these professions to be just a valuable option for them as well. So that's why we want to have professionals that will be their role models, who will be their examples, who they're not seeing right now on the TV, in television, etc. So thank you so much, Marta. So later we're going to ask you to talk more about Inspiring Girls, but now we're going to hear a little bit about some of the initiatives of some of the speakers that we have here at this round table who are fascinating. So Idoia, if you like. Thank you so much, Mónica. So I've been working for 25 years in cybersecurity, and I've always been working at technological companies. And this was even before cybersecurity existed. So before that, it was just cyber technology. And before that, the digital technology. And as we've said before, the pandemic has forced society and employees to accelerate their digital transformation. So we've seen a very, very sharp development during this pandemic. And this is what I've been working on, especially. What I work on is managing countries, and I interact with these countries. What I used to do before is just I was traveling constantly, and a lot of companies from both public and private sector had to adapt a series of measures, of collaborative policies because of the pandemic, because I don't travel anymore. So we've had to adapt ourselves, and from our company we have to embrace that change in that society, and for that we need to create different contexts, as we're seeing right here. I think that's what we're going to talk about specifically, how these societies and companies can create diverse work environments, and for that we require women and girls that want to pursue these studies. So you're all examples and role models in this sector in cybersecurity, and without a doubt, one of the ways to get women interested is by seeing you, by seeing what you do in technology and also in cybersecurity. And fortunately, we're seeing an increase in demand in this percentage of girls, but we have a lot more work to do. But luckily, we have a lot of initiatives that are leading and flagshipping in this sense. And Idoia, if you like, perhaps you can start us off, because you already said that you've been developing some of these initiatives. But could you perhaps talk a little bit about what you've been doing from Grupo Santander? Yeah, we're going to start off with my first slide. So as I said, Santander believes strongly in diversity, and that's why we're talking about gender diversity. Because now, not just because this is a table of only women, because also we're very international, and also the age. We also need diversity of age. I'm almost 50 years old. We're talking about girls from the future, but it's important to have, different ages as well. Not everyone has to be the same, because it's been proven that different groups with diverse people give out the best results. So that is why we have different initiatives. So we have an initiative that's called Tech Hunter, where if an employee recommends someone in the world of technology, since we deal with a lot of different profiles and different people, and we hire that person, then that employee is going to earn 1,000 euros. So that's one way to attract talent. It's a little simple, but it's very efficient. So with this world that we have, technology with so many fantastic companies, so many startups, not a lot of people want to go and work with a bank, because people tend to see it as a very traditional company. They tend to think about it in the very traditional sense of the office, and they don't really think about all the opportunities it entails with the online working, digitals, payments, etc. So one of the other digital initiatives that we're launching is, here you can see, is B-Tech with Santander and Women in Tech. So this would be an initiative with campaigns on social media. And we are completely convinced that diversity in the workplace is key, and it boosts efficiency and productivity. And we're also very lucky that Ana Botín, our chairman, is promoting these initiatives. So you will remember that in a women-led initiative for women in June 2019, we had an event. And Ana Botín was there because she was supporting our initiative, so that was great. So we know that the ratios tend to be a little lower with women in technology. With the Santander, we're around 20%, but we're not quite at 20%. So we need to give a step further. So let's go over to the next slide. I'm going to be as brief as possible. So we have a series of sponsors. So we have Cristina Alvarez, who used to work at Telefónico. She's the global CTO, and she's the one leading this entire digital transformation strategy, the migration to the cloud, the future technology of the group. And we also have Elizabeth Pinilla, who is dealing the carrying out of this transformation. And we have Cristina San Jose, the global head models and data. She works with data analytics, mathematic models, applied to anything, risks, cybersecurity. Then we have Charo Vacas, who's one of the few women directors. She is the TNO consumer finance of the entire world. And then we have Mercedes Climent, who's responsible for, she's the head of human resources. So what we want to do is break these stereotypes. And that's our goal as women. We want to change the world. We need to go beyond what we've already done. And then we need to, of course, have campaigns on social media. We need to have specific courses. We need to provide grants, help these women. So we were seeing a lot of different initiatives with women, university girls. So we're going to be talking about that briefly. So junior role models, etc. Those are some of the initiatives. So thank you so much, Idoia. We'll talk about these initiatives later on. Lorena, you're next. You also have a STEM project that's also traveling around the world. Is that true? Yes, indeed. So today I just came from a city, Burgos, which is going to be in lockdown, and I'm in here in León, which is also technically in lockdown. So I'm going to talk about STEM talent, which we're talking about talent because it's so difficult to find talent. But imagine in a city like Burgos, which is also where it's even harder to find talent. So I work in a little village, which is close to Burgos. And what we try to find is we get people transporting materials between different factories. So it's not only hard to find male talent, but it's even harder to find female talent. So that's why we got the idea at our company to launch this initiative, STEM Talent Girl. So we started off in our workplace in Burgos, and then we spread it out to different cities. So our goal is to empower these girls. We want them to be inspired and to have a reference in this sector. So our goal is to have role models, to have these girls feel inspired so that they can see that there are actually women in the field of technology or science that can do very, very interesting things and contribute a great deal to the world. So what tends to happen is that girls tend to think that they can't achieve it because it's a man's job, or because they haven't learned from that since they were small. So those are some of the stereotypes that we have to fight against. So initiatives such as STEM Talent Girl, we help the women in 3 different projects. So the first one of which is Science for Her. So we take girls from primary school, and then we help them give them master classes, and then they can see that perhaps they can see jobs like mine, like in IT, which might seem very odd at the beginning, but it's really not that strange. But it can also lead to working in something in cybersecurity or something as fascinating as technology. So we want them to see that there is future and the possibility of working in this field. So the younger the girls, the more we're going to be able to influence on their future decisions. So then mentor women is more when their girls are in upper high school. So when they've already decided that they perhaps want to study engineering in university, so what they have is they're going to have a sort of mentor, sort of tutor that's going to be guiding them in the process. And then the third project we have is Real Work. This was started off this year. And what we want to find with this is to get these girls to have their first professional experiences. So this is something that we've started off this year, and we've had a great deal of success so far. As Mónica says, we've had a lot of success. We have got some great numbers. If we want to try this, start this off in Burgos, and we want more girls to come here to study. And in just 4 years, we've had from having 1 headquarters to having 12 headquarters. So many of our colleagues also participated in the group. They were with some of the tutors. They gave speeches in these groups. And it's very nice to see how you can go to one of these master classes, and some of these girls are actually very surprised to see how useful and how these fields can apply in the real world. So this is one of the ways that you can convince a girl to become a STEM talent in the future, and to be a great hacker or a great because an ethical hacker also exists. They can do great things too. So that's it. It's all about boosting that passion. So you've been talking about the great deal of work that you're working from your initiative, and you've been doing other things as well. You also have the result of this very important study, very interesting study. Please tell us about it. So what our core business does is bring girls from, we show these girls other professions. So we target girls from schools. So for example, you can see here is what we did at the Fundación Telefónica, which was related to AI, technology, and we brought very important people from the field, and these girls had the opportunity they were spread out in different tables, and at each table we had a woman from a different STEM field. So every 5 minutes these tutors would swap around the table, and this way the girls would get to hear from different experiences, professional experiences from these women, and they would hear about their own life, their own passion about their work. This is what they're showing these girls, and this is one of the ways that we're breaking the stereotypes, as we were mentioning before. So we're doing this all over Spain. We're doing this in all sectors. So with one of the initiatives with Cristina Ventue, which is one of the speakers at this Congress, we had her at the Technological Park in Huesca. So she works at a huge cybersecurity company, and she talked to these girls in a workshop about robotics, and she told them what they could do. And then there was another workshop about programming, about space missions, and all these little girls perhaps before didn't consider that it could be an option for them. And then in Malaga, we also did one about AI. So we do all these different types of projects just to get these girls to understand in the shortest amount of time possible, to kind of open their eyes and to show them how many possibilities they have. And we've also launched a great project. It's called The Club, where we have a sort of mini MBA for these girls. From when they're 10 years old, they discover technology, but they don't know exactly what it's about. So, of course, we don't call them robotics workshops or technology workshops. So each of these workshops have either a social or environmental project. And then what these girls do is use technology to work on that project. So this way they are breaking all of the myths surrounding technology, because they're seeing that they are using technology to pursue their own goals and to help them for these projects. And then they discover that it's actually a very useful tool to help them obtain their goals. And this way they kind of lose any fear that they might have had before. So these stereotypes, there's a lot of stereotypes that boys are better at math, technology is not for girls. So even though the family might say, no, I teach my children equality, but the social environment is something very important. And that's why we came to an agreement, which is a project that we've carried out with the CU San Pablo University, which we'll be talking about today at 6 after we finish. So this measure of impact adds some information to something, it kind of proves what we already know. So when they talk in a class to girls about technology, you can see how their eyes open, how they're suddenly seeing all these options that they hadn't even considered before. So as you know, we work with companies, so that's why we had to develop this measurement system, which was very important. So this system, this investigation that we're announcing today, was announced in a magazine, a scientific magazine called Frontiers in Psychology, and it's fascinating. It works as a sort of social vaccine that fights against stereotypes, and it also gives them that little motivational push that they need to surpass their own their own expectations. And it also will allow them to see that they're also very good at math. Also, even the teachers knew that the girls were better than the boys in every single subject, including science, math, chemistry. So when you when you're so ensured and you have the guarantee that that you have a positive outcome, then you lose the fear. And if they see a different role model that perhaps you don't see the typical nerd working in cybersecurity, but they rather see a normal woman that is passionate about what she does and what she works, that's the biggest motivator for these little girls. So perhaps when we see these women hearing about these experiences from a real woman and being very down to earth, will motivate them to pursue these professions. So, and this is proven, and this study has proven that this is very important. It is key to have role models speaking to these girls in the schools, and that opens up a lot of options. So thank you so much, Marta, for providing us with this information. It's fascinating, and I think we're going to be analyzing it later on. Eduvigis, we're going to continue with you because you're part of Weeks, which is an initiative that has already done a great deal over the past years, but there is something, you have some news for us that you've come here to tell us today, so please tell us. So yes, I am very happy. I am very excited to announce this here in INCIBE, because I really consider this is like my home, because we always count on the support of INCIBE. In fact, today we discovered that not all of the organizations make sure that there is equality in the speakers, because this is very important, because what we're lacking is role models. We need to make these girls see more female role models, and to see that it's actually a fascinating world, and this is a world that's also for them. And this is exactly why INCIBE and these great initiatives that are paving the road for these great changes in society are allowing us to go even one step further. So we've been a reference in Spain. We've done a lot of events here. We have a very powerful, strong community. And now we're going even beyond that, because we are completely integrating the initiative Women for Cyber, which is the Spanish chapter of the European Cybersecurity Organization. And this makes us a lot stronger, because there is a set of very defined lines of work in which we work, we inform, we publicize that female talent. And what we do is, in turn, create a community, because we're not alone in this. Because we're saying that, yes, we're a community of women, we're an association of women, but we need all of you, each and every one of them, all of the men in the sector, of the society, the institutions, the public sector, the private sector. So we need everyone to be able to change society. Even us in our homes, helping to change these stereotypes, and being aware that also the girls can be creators of technology, that they can work in robotics and cyber technology. They can do whatever they want. They have the option. Let's not make it so that we lose that talent for lack of motivation or lack of confidence. So let's try to make use of that talent to make our companies and societies more sustainable. So that is why we are so excited to announce Women for Cyber Spain with this goal that we have of creating a community that has a powerful voice, that promotes female talent, and to be the motivation for those young girls that perhaps would want to pursue this profession. But in this digital world, nothing lasts forever, so not the fact that you have one job is you're not going to be attached to that for the whole world. No, quite the contrary. There's a huge deal of opportunities, and those are the opportunities that we have to give or make it easier for both the girls and also the boys, because they also have their existential crises and their lacks of confidences. So we want them to reap these opportunities. Technology is a huge strength in the world, and we need to be using all of these diverse talents so that we can all be reflected in this new world. And that is the goal of Women for Cyber Spain. So we need each and every one of you. We're very happy. We have great community. We have some great people working with us. We've been working some different lines of work. You're going to be hearing a lot about us because, you know, that's what it's all about. We want us to be heard. We want us to be seen. So we want this change to occur. So we're going to be very attentive to any news from you. So thank you so much for choosing this forum to announce your initiative publicly. So we'll be looking forward to it. So thank you so much to all four of you. So, and with all the information all the data that Marta is giving us, I think it's been quite fascinating. If you like, we can talk about it. We can discuss this. But it's about the importance of role models, so that both young girls and young men can feel that confidence and know that, hey, I actually kind of like this field, and breaking all those prejudices, all those stereotypes that we have. So what do you think about the data we've heard from the study? Lorena, I feel like we'd start with you. Well, it's kind of what I was saying before. I think we also have to look at the application, how we can apply it. So perhaps you might think that you're going to study IT, which is something related to what I do. And then you think that you're going to spend the rest of your life with your computer, you're not going to have any social interactions, and then you kind of have to change your perspective. And then you have to think that, no, you're going to have a lot of contact, you're going to be working with a team, you're going to be working with your colleagues. And the communication with the world of data opens up a heap of new opportunities. So topics related to health, the sciences of health, or perhaps attract more women than men. But in that field, you're also going to need an engineer, somebody that's going to be here helping you in the lab. So at the end of the day, I think that what we have to see, all these different opportunities of application and all these jobs where we have women with these talents, we're doing a fantastic, extraordinary job. And it's not just about the job. It's not about it's not just about your studies. So you can always change that. So later you can always change kind of what you want to be working on. But the most important is breaking that mentality. We're still a very traditional. We have a lot of stereotype as a society, and we have to remove and break those stereotypes. And I think that here with all of us, we've kind of talked about certain initiatives with which we're trying to break these stereotypes. And I think all of us here are very passionate about the world of technology and science in a certain way. And me, for one, I regret nothing. I've chosen a profession that I'm truly passionate about. And I think what's the most important is to have these girls feel that passion for technology. And if you can get a little girl from a very young age to feel that passion, to have that, I think that can be truly positive. And if they have a chance to see women like you that are showing such passion, that's of course it's waking all this interest in them. So what do you think about the information that we were talking about? Well, I am truly happy that science has helped us to improve so much. I think we've seen a lot of improvement in our companies and on a personal level. So, of course, we need to make technology attractive with role models, as we were saying. So, as we were saying before, we need to show them that we're not the typical nerds. So, technology is changing the world. Technology is in everything, even in medicine. In every single career that we want to pursue, there's going to be technology. And I think that digital transformation is also... I think it's also important to see that there's going to be a lot of recycled jobs that perhaps were not as much related to technology, and technology is going to provide them, make them more adapted to the future. Well, we need to show the girls that there's a lot of money, there's a lot of work in technology, so let's be practical, because many times a lot of them want to focus on business administration, and I think that's great, but there's a lot of other opportunities. But there's a lot of people working in business administration, but In technologies, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of job opportunities. So that is something that we have to tell these little girls. So I think that's exactly that. It's about making it more attractive. So, so what do you think about what she's just said? So what this data does, what this information does, is contrast what we already thought. But Marta, it's truly great that you've managed to conduct this study, and that you've managed to publish it, because thanks to that, you're giving us a lot of credibility. It's something that we've been thinking for a long time, which is why we've been doing all this great deal of work and launching all these initiatives, because this is how we think we can create change. But it's also true that when we talk about technology, technology is a mean. At the end of the day, it's a tool. So in all these works and in everything that we do, in enjoyment, in the way that we buy things online, technology is at the middle at the heart of absolutely all of these actions. So what we truly have to do is find that digital culture, that culture in cybersecurity, that raising awareness, not just getting talent that knows how to do it, that knows the technical aspects. So it's not just about being able to install those gates or that will protect us from cyber criminals, but also to get all of the users of that technology to understand and to raise awareness, to help us understand this new world. And because we, at the end of the day, are the ones that are clicking on on the links of that cyber criminals are sending us, or on phishing emails. So that is why it's so important on focusing on changing the culture. So it's not just about the opportunity, because we all know we have the opportunity of working on what we want to work on, but it's also about the responsibility of, as users, both inside the company and on a personal level, to have that culture of cybersecurity. And well, the slogan of this month is think before you click, and it's exactly about that. It's about having that inherent culture. And that's exactly what we're working on. This is the month of cybersecurity, because we need to work more in hand with the final user. And as we were saying at the beginning, the importance of those digital competences. Marta, besides talking about the data that you talked about before, what do you think are the digital competences that are in the highest demand right now? Because technology and cybersecurity especially is very multidisciplinary, and we require some experience from all fields. So what do you think? So I don't just see that there is a lack of female talent in the STEM projects, but there's a huge lack of knowledge, both for girls and boys, and I think they need to be given more information. So yesterday we were holding a session with a female role model who's a headhunter, and she said, so what is the qualities that a company is looking for when hiring an employee? So it's not just about the knowledge. So you can have the knowledge, but it's about being able to adapt to change. That is absolutely key. So that is why in the field of technology and ICT, it's very important to have to follow a certain course of education, and I think we need to adapt the training to the current times. Of course, you're going to be learning a lot at the company because this is changing so fast. So you can't expect that with something that you learn in your studies, in your degree, you're going to know everything. So the world is changing constantly. So that is why if you can easily adapt to change to a company, that's going to be of great help. And of course, you would also require the companies to offer this training. So, and with regard to what you were saying before, I'd just like to note something. So we had an IT tech engineer, a woman, and she was giving a speech, and one of the girls looked at her and said, "How could you be scientific? How can you work with data? But you wear high heels and you paint you wear lipstick." So all of this kind of gives you an idea of all the stereotypes of our perception of what an engineer or someone that works in this field, that it's supposed to be a nerd that works in a lab all day. So we need to break those stereotypes, and we need to show the young generations of all the opportunities that they have, and also in the World Forum, we need to show all these women of all the opportunities that there really are, and that they actually can pursue a profession in this. So as you were saying, there is a lot of job opportunities, financial opportunities as well. So that's why we cannot be afraid of this. So there are equal opportunities for both boys and girls, and it's more about the passion and putting in your time and effort. So thank you so much to all four of you. Thank you so much, Marta, Idoia, Lorena, and Edu for being here. I think that what you've talked about today is fantastic, with, of course, with a very positive tone.